Well, hey, on today's podcast, we have the owner and founder of Drip and Grace Creative going to talk to us today about starting a business and following in the rhythms of grace. Come on, welcome to the show, Davonte Anderson. And we're rolling. Hey, Davonte, thanks for being on the show, man.
Thanks for having me, bro. It's good to be here.
Of course, dude. We were just talking about this before we went live, but you have been here for One More Minute podcast since day one.
Yes, sir.
The very first video that I made that we posted was, and no lie, it's probably the best social media that I've posted since then.
Wow. It's an honor.
Well, yeah, dude. And this is not to knock your video that you created for the show as the initial announcement was incredible. It speaks to how great you are and how bad I am at social media. But
we all are, though, honestly.
yeah, man, I don't know. There's a weird tension that I have with it, and we could talk about this. Would be cool. There's a weird tension that I have with social media where I feel the need to have it, like having a show like this, having the podcast, and there's part too, like on my personal page, like updating people with my kids and all that stuff. But there's another part of me where I just would be totally fine to get rid of it if I'd know that people would just kind of know what's coming up with the show and who's on the next episode, whatever.
100%.
You kind of need it for your business.
Bro. And I feel the same way. Like if I could have someone that just ran Drip and Grace's social media page,
yes,
I would spend way less time on social media. So
this is a great opportunity for me to share that you can, if you want to help me conquer this disability or this issue that I have with social media, you can join and be a patron. There's a lot of cool things on there, as well as the goal there is to hire some intern or somebody to take over the social media for me.
Yep.
Or if you're just feeling the call of God to be like a social media intern for this podcast, hit me up. You know how to do it. But dude, thanks for being on the show, man.
Of course.
I've been excited. And we've been planning this one for a while, and I want to learn a little bit more just about you and your journey here, and where you and your wife, how you guys kind of came to Lakeland, but also how you both started Drip and Grace and what you guys have done there. And there's a lot to unpack there. So yeah, maybe tell us a little bit about who you are, and we can kind of get into that.
Whew. Yeah, there's a ton there.
Big question.
I've only been in Lakeland for since 2020. Was it 20? No, 2022.
Really?
So it's only been about 3 years.
Wow.
Vanessa, my wife, she's from here. So long story short, she's the reason why I'm here.
Yeah, that's a good reason. Yeah,
100%. Previous to here, I was living in Orlando. A funny story, before we got married, I would come up here, we're dating, and I'm like, babe, there's no way I can live in this place. Like, there's nothing
Okay,
here.
yeah.
I grew up in Southern California.
very different. I get that.
Very
Yeah,
different. Very. But at the time, I moved to Orlando in 2015 for my first career job. And when I moved, my family's like, "Oh, Florida still has palm trees, beautiful beaches, great weather. It's gonna be just like Cali." Complete opposite, bro.
I wouldn't know, dude. I've actually never really been to California. Me and my wife were talking about that the other day. I've flown in there once, but we drove straight to Mexico.
Oh yeah.
And it didn't count. So San Diego, straight to Mexico.
Yep.
But yeah, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
Just very different.
It's so different, man. The weather's different. I never really checked the weather app ever when I lived there. So that's the kind of different that is. But so yeah, I've been in Lakeland for 3 years, but I grew up in SoCal. I lived in a lot of different places, bro. I lived in New York. That's where I went to college. I went to West Point first. Spent about 2 years there. Then I went to Stony Brook. Then my first job was at UCF in Orlando. Then moved to Texas, to Baylor, to work at Baylor University.
Wow.
And then back.
What were you doing at the colleges?
So I worked in college athletics. So I played football in college. So
Yeah.
Student athlete all my life. And
Were you military at West Point, or?
Yeah, have to be, bro.
Yeah.
Have to be.
I thought so. Yeah.
So if I would have stayed there till my junior year, I would have had to sign
Could have been enlist.
5 years active duty, 3 years reserve.
Were you like ROTC or like military prior to that, or
no, not at all, bro. So I played football in high school, and West Point was Army football. They were my only full ride scholarship, so didn't want to pay for school. And two of my other buddies were going to the school, so I was like, shoot, why not? And at the time, fun fact, West Point was like the #1 school in the nation, like over Harvard. And I mean, it's a hard school to get into, like all
no doubt.
things. So I was like, I can't pass up this opportunity. But no, bro, I did not want to be in the military.
Wasn't for you.
So I stayed there for 1.5 years and left, man. Waking up at 5 a.m. to go to formation and march to breakfast every morning was not a part of my plans. So
yeah, man, that's another level of like football training, dude.
Oh yeah, football.
You were living it.
Football practice was time off. At West Point,
compared to that,
compared to the Army stuff. So.
Man, that's crazy. Yeah. I wonder if they like, not to diminish like your scholarship. I wonder if that's like part of it too. It's like to go there, you got to be like fully committed. Like this is what you're going to do. If you're going to like stay there for a long time, it's like you got to be committed to joining the military afterwards.
Bro. Yeah. I mean, there's people there that's their whole life. They dream all their life to go to West Point.
Yeah.
Be in the military, all those different things. So for me, it was different. So stayed there for a little bit and left. Everybody was mad at me.
Did you transfer athletics though? Like go to another, like you played ball at like another school?
Yeah, bro. Honestly, that was probably one of the most pivotal points in my life, I would say.
Really?
That was like my biggest first time grown up,
grown up decision.
Put your big pants, like your big boy pants, and make a grown up decision. Because my dad didn't want me to leave. Nobody. I mean, it was the #1 school in the nation at the time, so it's like, bro, this makes no sense.
It's kind of like it's kind of one of those times in your life where you have to make the first decision that only affects you.
Right. Right. 100%. You don't have to sit here.
Oh, this messes up my family or whatever like that. It's like, no, it's only like based on how this is like determining my future.
Exactly, bro. I'm talking to my dad. I'm like, you don't have to walk outside and think, oh, I can't talk to anybody or else an upperclassman's going to yell at me because I'm a freshman and I can't talk when I'm outside. And I have to do that every single day. Like, you
couldn't talk when you were outside?
Couldn't talk, bro.
At all? Or just certain times of the day?
At all outside. Had to keep our fist like this everywhere we walked.
That's crazy.
Had to walk along the side of the walls in every hallway. Couldn't cut corners. Bro, it was...
Is that just a march, or was you could walk normal?
Okay. I mean, unless you're in formation, have to march.
Sure.
But
that's crazy.
Uniforms every day. We had a bedtime. We had cleaning time every night. March to breakfast every day.
Yeah.
Everybody went to class at the same time. Played sports at the same time. Ate at the same time. Slept at the same time.
Yeah, dude, that's wild. I mean, I'm sure there's some discipline like that you get in that, but. That's only like if you're really wanting to be in the military,
It was nuts. It was great school.
Yeah,
great
sure.
School.
Yeah.
I have a lot of buddies who graduated from there. If you graduate from West Point, you're pretty much set for life. So great school.
Just in case they're listening.
Just in case
they're listening to this.
Just in case you ever want to.
You can still sponsor the show. We're for you.
Anything that we do.
Right. The quick ad for West Point University. Right. So you moved from there. You got into like. Kind of fast forward a little bit. You just were a part of athletic programs. Like that's what brought you down to UCF. And I'm guessing you met like your wife here, right? Yeah. You met Vanessa here.
Yeah, bro.
And then moved. Was that hard? Like then you moved to Baylor. Did she move with you or?
No, bro. I didn't meet her until. Yeah, my story. I didn't meet her until the second time I was at UCF.
Oh, okay. You came back twice. To UCF.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Didn't want to come back to UCF, so that was part of my story. But. Left UCF because I moved to Florida from Cali after graduating college, and I'm like, Florida's not it. Don't want to live here. and I'm in Orlando.
Yeah.
And I'm at UCF, and I'm like, okay, this just isn't gonna work. The weather.
You do have to live by the weather app here,
bro. Every day.
Do.
And the first year I was here was 2016.
It doesn't make me want to move to California at all, but you do have to live by the weather 100%. App. Yeah.
I like Florida people.
Yeah.
Look,
He's
here.
changed. He's converted. You're here. Yeah.
But the first year I was here, bro, it was 2016 Hurricane Irma.
Oh yeah, I can get that.
So being from California, bro, I'm like, hurricane? What the hell? Like, what are we talking about? Bro, that thing was like flooding inside our house, like trees falling. We had Bro, we had a snake in our house one day. I'm like, get me
This is the plagues.
frogs on my car.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, some of the things I saw in Florida the first year, you only see literally at the zoo or in like Petco in California. Like,
we just stepped into Old Testament Egypt, you know?
Like,
Like
if I want to
happening?
if I want to go see a frog, I'm gonna go to Petco. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not seeing a frog on my car in the morning. So it was just different, bro. So I left the first time, went to go work at Baylor. Long story short, went through lower midlife crisis, went through a big depression during that time. Came back to Florida, was trying to do everything but get back into college athletics because I was like, I know this isn't what I want to do. Around that time is when I kind of had the desire to start a business. I didn't know what it was. I just had the itch for it. So I was like, I know I don't want to get back in college athletics, 24/7 job, always on the clock. Don't want to climb up and be an AD one day. I don't want to do that. So long story short, ended up back at UCF. During those 2 years I was back is when I met Vanessa towards the end of those 2 years.
Yeah.
She graduated from UCF, moved back to Lakeland. We were dating. Then I'm coming to Lakeland. We get married. I moved to Lakeland. So
Yeah. Long story short. She got you here.
Now I'm here.
Yeah. That's crazy, dude. Yeah. Was there a point in that, like, well, we'll get to more like the Drip and Gray stuff, but like, when did you start doing photos? Was it at some point in all that? Were you just kind of playing around with the camera or?
Yes. Honestly, this just hit me, bro. Wow. This just hit me.
Revelations.
Right. Never thought about this, but when I was in high school playing football, my stepmom's father, so my grandpa-in-law, or not in-law, my step-grandpa, he always had this giant, huge camera, bro. Like one of those long lenses at all of my high school football games and would take fire photos. So I'm like, oh, after every game, like, oh, grandpa, like, let me see the photos.
Yeah.
So I then, just hit me right now, then started to gain appreciation for like dope photos, like high quality, really good photos.
You don't have to have that long lens anymore.
Right, exactly. Well, if you want to do sports photography, kind of, but
I think about the people that I see at like the lake trying to get the birds,
Bro,
you know,
yes,
like the picture of the birds.
yeah, they still have those lenses for sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
So started an interest in it, but still at that time, I was focused on football, bro. I'm like, let me go to school, graduate, play football. But I still had a passion for it. Still was very interested in photos. Did like created my own highlight videos when I was in college and all this stuff. So I was like, I had a niche for it or an interest. It wasn't until I got to UCF the first time that someone I was dating at the time had some like kit, super low level camera. And I'm like, oh, I like photos. Like, let me try that out. Bro, grab that camera and just started to have too much fun with it, bro. Like, created my first fake business called California Classics.
Nice.
That was my first like photo name.
Yeah. Straight out of Orlando.
California Classics coming to you strong. And so I was just having fun with it, bro. And so it was that point probably early on into my college athletics career, working in college athletics, that I gained a passion for it.
That's awesome, man. Do you feel like you were always, sounds like you had a creative eye, like for a while. Would you say that?
I had an appreciation for it.
Yeah,
I probably had an eye. I just didn't really tap into it.
Yeah.
But I had the appreciation for seeing it.
Because there's definitely levels to like, there's different, like, I guess the best way I feel like I'm thinking about it right now is like, very churchy answer is like the fruits of the spirit. It's like there's like the different like levels of like creativity. You know what I mean? Some people have like a great gift for music and songwriting, and then because I play a couple instruments and I've like feel like a creative in some ways, but I've attempted like photography in the past, and I just don't have like I don't have the eye for it. Like I don't have like the detailed look of like what's gonna make a good photo at all.
Yeah, no, it's fair. It's fair. Not everybody has it.
But some people have it all. So yeah. Do you do music as well?
No.
Okay.
But I feel like in the church culture, bro, I feel like everybody sings.
Yeah.
Like everybody I meet, I'm
better
like,
for worse.
You play a guitar, right? You play a guitar. Oh, and you sing. Like when I saw Wayne on stage, I'm like, oh, you sing too, bro? Like what the heck?
Yeah. Some people have it all, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah. There's actually some people though that we all know that I'm like, I had a guy on the show here recently, and he is like, he kind of like, it's this episode will come out like before yours comes out, but He owns like the joinery and all that, but he was also like the drummer of Copeland.
That's
like,
what?
And I didn't know that.
Dang, that's crazy.
I found it out like live on the show,
fact.
so that was fun to listen to. But people like that in our town, where you're like, oh man, they're creative in like a business building aspect, and then they're also like same musician and all this stuff too. Yeah. Some people have it all. Man.
Not me. You don't want to hear me sing.
Well, dude, you've built something pretty creative too, though, with like Drip and Grace. Like, talk to me a little bit about like how did that form as a business for you? Because it's not that old, right? Like that's somewhat newer.
Yeah. I'd probably say it's around 4 to 5 years old.
Okay.
But just I've been full time with it for maybe a year and 4 months. So that's been the newest thing. But man, it formed from, like I said, around that time between going from UCF to Baylor. I was back home in California and really felt like God told me, yo, I want you to start something one day.
Yeah.
And I had no idea, one, what it was. Two, I still to this day don't really see myself as like the typical business owner. Like that's not really me. So I was like, nah, like I don't even know. So had that, I guess, conceived in me, that desire, that passion. And then throughout my journey, bro, I've done so many different things, from, working in college athletics. I worked at Northwestern Mutual in the corporate financial space, worked at Take Heart, nonprofit space. So a lot of mission work, did a lot of stuff with churches in between, picked up creative stuff on the side all along the way, student athlete, like all these different things. Right. And so I gained a huge appreciation for, just the overall grace and transitions of life, and the different people that I've met along the way. Cause I've been in so many different spaces, from corporate to mission work to churches, and working in student athletics, bro. It was like, you see people from different countries, from different sports, like all the different things. So just gained a true big appreciation for grace. And so long story short, starting Drip and Grace was a way for me to kind of put all of those desires, those passions, those lessons that I've learned in transitions, to put it into one business that's eventually going to grow into more. Right now it's photography, because that's where we started.
Yeah.
And we have a creative eye, and it brings in, the income to our house right now and things like that. So it's
the necessities.
Right. Like it pays our bills, and we have a passion for it too. We love creating stories.
Cool. Yeah.
But the mission behind our business it's more of a disposition and a posture of living a lifestyle of grace, and whatever we do, doing it from just the space of grace.
Yeah.
Right. So
I love how you there's a couple things in there. I love how you mentioned though, the flows of like life and the grace that leads into like every other season. Like for me, I've actually said that, I think maybe a couple times on the show, but I've said that personally too, like for a while, is I've always seen, at least in my life, I feel like by the grace of God, everything has like, I believe because of the hand of God, like on our lives, like I think that everything that I've seen go from season to season has been graced. Even when I didn't understand why, it's been graced for that next season. Right. And here's what I mean by that. If I'm using way too much like church lingo here, or Christian lingo, is like my first role that I got out of college, I was working in like financial aid.
Right.
Didn't understand why, like didn't necessarily love it. Felt like it was like for me, and I probably didn't handle it the best, but it was like a little bit stressful and like all that. But it prepared me so well for the next job that I would have, in like leading an internship program in a college.
Right.
And that role then prepared me so much for just like understanding like leadership and church world and all that kind of stuff, which after that, for a season, I was a school teacher and didn't understand why. And I look back on it now and I'm like, oh, something I needed in that season was empathy. And it grew, working with some of the kids that I worked with, grew like empathy and sympathy for me, like for people of whose lives like I could not necessarily connect, like, wouldn't say like, oh, I've gone through the same experiences. but it prepared me today. And I could go on and on, but I've seen that where it's like, and I don't think sometimes people put those connections together like they should, you know?
There's a flow of grace of life, bro. It's a certain flow that if you, this is, cause I'm such a picture thinker, I think visually, but like,
it's great for an audio podcast.
Right. Grace is like literally like a stream. Like if you can catch the stream and go at that flow and go at that pace, and you'll find yourself in the right places at the right time. And that's kind of how I've seen my life through all the different pivots, struggles, successes, heartbreaks, all of it, bro. All has kind of worked together through that flow of grace to make me where I am right now. So
and I think the thing that probably messes people up on that flow, like my guess, at least for me, I've seen this in my life, is trying to rush it. You know, trying to like get in that stream of grace and trying to sprint down the stream. It just doesn't work. I've, you know, there's, and I think this may be cliche. I'm sure there's tons of like leadership people and pastors who've said this before, but it was true for me. And I think it's true for a lot of people. I found myself at like a place in my early 20s comparing myself to people who were in their 40s and 50s. And I'm like, and it never dawned on me. For the longest time, it never dawned on me. Like, you have 20 more years or 30 or however many more years of just not even experience, but just life lived. You know, I can cut myself a little slack if it takes me 5 or 10 more years.
100%.
I don't think people do that. And I think that they, even in maybe trying to like start their business too quickly or too early or trying to rush the process and building too much, which is cool to hear. Like, you guys have a vision, but you know, you're starting at a place that, you know, you can manage.
100%.
That like, there's like, it's okay if it takes you a year or so to be in this one spot. Like, trust that process, you know?
Bro. You know how many years ago that, like, I just went full time with the business last year, bro. And I think,
feels like I mean, like, I've known you and I know when you did it, but it feels like longer than that.
And I at least had the mindset of like, oh, I'm going to start something. This was back in like 2017. And so from 2017 till last year was like a constant tension of like, okay, I'm doing jobs knowing that one day I'm about to start something. And having the patience, and sometimes not the patience, and ended up in places where I probably shouldn't have been. But like knowing that there was a time that this was going to happen, it just wasn't, 5 years ago. It was last year. So
for sure, dude. Yeah, I remember it wasn't till like 2020 or 2021. Everybody else was, like, we're trying to find stuff to do or listen to. I got into like podcasts. And I remember thinking like, I'd love to do that someday. I'd love like to sit down and just talk to like people. And I had that idea in like 2021 and then like kind of, or maybe 2021 or 2022. And then like solidified it in last year, and like built towards that. Like, I think there's a reality to probably like a good tension, right? Of like not rushing yourself, but also trying to create realistic timelines.
And that's like, even sitting here on this podcast, like this is something I want to do, right? This is going to be a part of Drip and Grace one day. And so every time I sit on a podcast, every time, typically I'm on the camera filming somebody else's podcast. Every time I'm doing that, I'm like, gosh, bro, when is it my turn? Like I'm ready to do this. But it's just not time yet. And I think that's when you kind of have to learn the pace of grace. And I think what happens is that you, to your point, is you go through seasons that you do rush. And at the end of rushing, it hits you like, dang, I should have just waited. Or like, dang, now I'm in a space where I don't want to be. Or dang, now it's a little bit harder for me. Or you get to a point where you do wait and the opportunity comes at the right time. You're like, oh, see, that's why I waited. Right. So I've had plenty of those moments, bro, and I think the first moment, just a quick story of when I left West Point, which was to a lot of people, the dumbest thing I probably ever did in my life. And I'm 17, 18 years old at that point, just leaving a prominent school. And I leave, bro, it was probably midsummer, July. And if anybody knows about football timing, camp starts for football every year in August. So leaving July, I'm at a D1 school, full ride scholarship, leave that place to go home to nothing. I had nothing set up. So my mind's like, oh, I'm probably gonna have to go to junior college. Like, I don't want to have to do this, blah, blah, blah. No, there's 0.03% chance that a school is going to offer me a scholarship at the end of July when camp's starting in August. Teams are set.
Things are already figured out.
Things are figured out. Within 2 weeks, bro, I'm home. I get a call from Stony Brook, where I ended up going. D1 school, smaller D1 school. But they call and they're like, hey, heard you left West Point. Didn't talk to them. Didn't know they knew I left West Point. Heard you left West Point. We just had a cornerback, which was my position. We had a cornerback, just got kicked off the team. He got arrested. We're looking to fill a spot. Can you come up here in 2 days for an official visit?
Yeah.
I'm like, what? What are the chances, bro? So, and this is back in New York. I'm from California. So I'm like, bro, back in New York? Like, what the heck? Yeah. So I go back there, bro, within a week, full ride scholarship, back in D1 playing football. I'm like, okay.
Crazy, man. Yeah, and you might not have felt it about it at this time, but maybe that was, or maybe you did, but like a step of faith, you know, like you got to take some sort of leap. Like, yeah, I mean, I think about stuff in our life, and I could go through several stories where I was like, we had to take some sort of step first without knowing all the answers, you know? And that's that's scary too, because then you leave that and you're like, what have I done? Did I just mess up everything, you know? And that's where, for if you're listening to this and you are like a believer, then I think our answer is like a believer in Jesus. Then I believe our answer is, you know, I have faith that if I make a decision based on, you know, I haven't personally ever heard, I'd say like the audible voice of God, but from what I feel like God has led me to, that He'd honored that.
Right.
And you know, if you're a not believer, hit me up. I'd love to chat. Love to have you on the show.
Yeah, bro.
But but yeah, man. But it's cool to hear like the vision that you have for the business too, and like, I think you guys would be incredible, dude. Podcasting as well. Like, I'm sure there's so much to it. You know, like I did think about that earlier when you were saying that. Julie Chernick, who we both know. Yeah. I feel like that's a similar story of like business, like, you know, expansion of like started as a flower business, moved into events, and is now like it's full on like
100%.
Like, you know, what do you call that place? Like a venue. You know, it's a full on venue and all this kind of stuff now.
Right.
What are there some things that you can share with us that you guys have envisioned for like Drip and Grace? Or
we haven't really shared this publicly, but
you don't have to if it's not the right time.
It doesn't matter. One thing that we really do want to do is have our own building to where it houses all the different things that we kind of have passions of doing, have done in the past, just have a space to be able to do it. So one of those things is having a space where there's just space for community, right? Whether that's coffee shop, wellness shop, those different things, to come connect with people, engage, feel like you belong in a space. But also in that same space have a creative studio to where there's a creative studio / you know, coffee shop, wellness place, all those different things. But then also in that same area, having a space, it's like a smaller event center to where you can host events, where you can host gatherings, where people can come, share their gifts, their talents, spoken word, those different things. So where people can feel seen and really showcase what God has graced them to do.
That's cool, man. Like a just community center kind of type thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's awesome, dude. I love that. I do feel like what's cool about like where we live right now, and I'm sure many places too, like whether you guys stay in Lakeland for forever or wherever, but that those are becoming more and more like, those are becoming more and more popular. You know what I mean? Like those kind of vibes like out there are a thing. Right. Especially like post COVID, people are looking for community everywhere. You know?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
So that's the big thing for us, because I mean we're huge on grace. To us really means like creating that safe environment where people can take those risks, right? Can take leaps of faith, can showcase their gifts. That's why like people are always like, well, your name is Drip and Grace, but you do photo. What does that mean? And there's definitely some clarity that we need to work on there with branding for sure, that we're working on, promise. But because our disposition is, hey, we want to create a safe space where people feel like they can come as they are, right? And tell their story, right? That's part of who we are, right? And and that's what grace to us means, is creating such a safe space where people feel like they belong, where they feel accepted, where they feel like they can live, do their activity, express their story, express who they are, those different things. So that's kind of the disposition that we want to bring to a building, right? Like a warehouse type building where we have different things where people feel that energy.
That's awesome, dude. And what a smart idea to start it off the way you guys are. I feel like with something that is like, you know, going to help build to that point now. And you guys are doing great, man. You took our family photos, even with our crazy, like our boys running everywhere.
That makes it fun, bro.
Dude, it was madness. Yeah. And our dog. The dog? Dude. Yeah. Dude, don't. Unless you have like a normal tame dog, like bring him to your photo shoot. If not,
no, we have fun with it. That's why we have two of us.
Yeah,
one person. Well, that day we didn't have two of us.
No,
one person take care of the dog, the other person take photos. So we're good.
Yeah, and our dog does not listen to us anymore. He abandoned that a long time ago. He had this training, and he's like, "No, I'm done with these people. I live my own life now."
Goodness,
dude. But yeah, man, I appreciate, like, obviously you being on the show and coming and chat with us for a while. What would be, like, as we kind of have one more minute left here, what would be like some of the ways that people can like find, well, first, like what are some of the ways that people can get connected to you guys? Like maybe if they want to schedule like a family book, like family shoot or whatever the case is.
First, everything's Drip and Grace. So that's DRIPINGRACE. So that's our Instagram. Well, our Instagram handle is Drip and Grace Creative. So that's all of our creative.
And we'll put it in the show notes too. So you don't have to be like paper and pen writing this down right now.
Take your pens out, take notes. And then our website is dripandgrace.com. So they can sign a inquiry form on there. Yeah.
I'd say the second thing before we go is what is like, for some, maybe in this deals with like people who are like starting their business or have a dream, a you know, an idea or whatever. What would be one thing of like encouragement you'd leave them with before we head out?
Starting business, keep clarifying the vision. You know, keep writing it down, and everything that you're doing now. Make sure that you are taking full advantage of the present moment. Right, kind of to what you were alluding to before is that every stage of your life is preparing you for whatever you're going to be starting one day. Right, like everything that I did from college athletics, you know, working with so many different types of people there, mentoring people there, going on trips internationally with student athletes to Northwestern Mutual, a job that I never thought I'd have, but it's like working in recruiting, like working how to tell a vision, right? How do I get people to buy into this company, to want to work for it, right? Yeah. So now I'm like, oh, I have some tools to be able to do that for my business. And then Take Heart was like mission oriented, serving those in need, those different things. And so every step in the journey, make sure you take full advantage of it, because it's going to be used.
Wise words, man. I love that, dude. Thanks for being on the show.
Of course. Appreciate you.